Yeah. Hey. Ship from the shores of Cape Coast, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Senegal, black gold they were hauling. 400 years it was hard then. Kept striving to be free from Marcus Dubois. Can't forget Kwame. For reparations they did pray. To unite in their honor we do say, Yanko, Yanko, Africa. Yanko, Yanko, Africa. Yanko, Yanko, Africa. Yanko, Yanko, Africa.
So this afternoon, like I said, we're resuming our conversation on land ownership and the troubles associated with procuring land. We've been talking about this over the period. We've talked about registration, how to avoid double registration of your land or losing it altogether. We're back with the law which will protect you as landowner. Well, the land bill is currently before Parliament, we know that. But what are the gaps? It appears that there are some gaps. Colandef has shared some of those gaps with us as well. Well, you can share your thoughts with us and your questions on the WhatsApp line that I dropped for you. 0540109009. That's 0540109009. I have in the studio George Kwesi Esel. He's a land administration officer and also a valuer. He works with the Lands Commission. Mr. Esel, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, so I don't know if we should just start with the law. If you can educate people about what the law says, and so we can also understand what the gaps are. Last time I spoke to Colandef, they are an NGO into land reforms. They indicated that there is a gap as far as involving the custodians or local or traditional custodians of the land in this particular law. But just for those who did not follow that conversation, what does this law seek to do? How different will it serve Ghanaians?
Please come again.
The law in Parliament, the bill in Parliament, the land bill in Parliament. Give us an overview. Are you able to give us an overview of how different it will make our stories as far as land is concerned?
It is going to make it clear as to the category of land you are going to acquire. There are various lands in this country, and each land and how you have to go about it, especially in terms of acquisition and its registration. For instance, we have stool lands, we have state land, we have family land, and we have private land.
Okay.
Yeah. So the bill is going to make it clear cut as to which one you should follow when you acquire such land. For instance, when you are dealing with stool land, you cannot just acquire stool land from the various stools and then go to land title to say I'm going to acquire land title certificate. You rather have to concur the property at PVLMD Lands Commission before you can continue with the title registration.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what's PVL what?
Public Invested Land Management Division.
Okay. Public Invested Land Management. I think you speak a bit fast, so if you slow down for us a bit so we can.
Public Invested Land Management
Public
Division.
Invested Land Management Division at the Lands Commission.
At the Lands Commission.
So that example was for what? Stool lands?
Yes, for stool
lands. So if you're buying stool lands, you can't just go to the family and buy the land.
No, you actually buy it from the stool, not the family.
Okay, so you can't just go to the stool and get the land and say you are registering it. That's what you said?
And said you are going to do land title registration. You know, people are more okay with saying I'm going to do certificate for my property or something like that. But all I'm trying to say is that per our constitution, if you purchase a stool land, you have to go through a process at Public Invested Land Management Division of Lands Commission before you can go ahead with the title registration.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and with the state land, what difference is there?
Yeah, the state land is also managed by PVLMD Lands Commission. We actually allocate the properties to individuals.
Okay.
You understand? So there's no way you can say that I'm going to purchase stool land from state land from, let's say, the family authorities or something of that sort. Okay. It is purely managed by Lands Commission. You cannot go anywhere apart from PVLMD Lands Commission to acquire state lands.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how different is acquiring family land from acquiring stool lands?
Yeah, family is different from stool in that when you acquire family land now, all you have to do is to go through the land title registration process to get a certificate. Okay. But with stool lands, when you are getting it from the stool direct, you need to concur the property before you can continue with the land title registration. Okay. If I say concur the property, it means that you have to come to PVLMD Lands Commission. to get the regional chairman of Lands Commission to endorse the document and also record it in our records before you could go ahead with the title registration.
I see.
Yeah.
All right, Nanama Yura joins us. She's Executive Director of Community Land and Development Foundation, Kulandef, an NGO that specializes in land administration for protection of livelihoods. She joins us on the line. Nanama.
Yes, you see.
Nanama, it's good to have you. The last time we spoke, you indicated that there were some gaps in this bill before Parliament. I have a rep from the Lands Commission with us. Let's try and look at the gaps and how we can work around it. So, if I remember clearly, you indicated that it doesn't necessarily regulate acquisition of land from traditional custodians. Is that correct? Hello, Nanama. It looks like you have lost Nanama there. We'll try and raise it back on the line and get some more. But you can send in your questions so far. If you have any questions, if you have any thoughts about land, you have any issues pending with the Lands Commission, we have a rep here. They will help us answer them. This one says, hi Gifty, our land tenure system is a complete threat to national security. Why should people die as a result of land acquisition in a civilized country? Good question. He says, I nearly became a victim of a scam where the land in Chopoli had been sold to 3 different people. Unfortunately, the current land bill before Parliament fails to address the issue of protecting investments made by potential buyers of land. And even worrying is the fact that investors shy away from investing in Ghana because of numerous land litigations in the country. Dennis from the Bono region sent that. So, coming back to you, Ms. Esel, he's saying here that the current land bill before Parliament is not addressing protecting investments made by potential buyers of land. I'm not quite sure if it's clear to you, because it's not to me.
Well, the bill itself is not out. It's still ongoing. So there are certain amendments which is taking place.
Okay. So
we should just wait for the bill to come out. But I strongly believe that all this will be incorporated in the bill.
Well, but when he says, I mean, have there been issues when he says that we are failing to protect investment made by potential buyers of land? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, no, okay. I think the way I understand it is that if you are buying a property and you are leading yourself into litigation, how would you protect your investment? But I see there are so many ways to go about this without entering into any litigation. As I'm saying, we have various divisions of the Lands Commission. When you are purchasing a property, don't limit yourself to the old Lands Commission, which is now PVLMD. Yeah. You understand? For instance, when you are purchasing a family land, try as much as possible to conduct a search at PVLMD Lands Commission and the Survey and Mapping Division. There are instances where you come to Lands Commission PVLMD, you conduct a search and you are told that there's no recorded transaction and records for which people go ahead to purchase property. But I feel you have to go to the Survey and Mapping Division to also check the records.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay. Yeah. Well, Nanama, are you still there? Do we have Nanama on the line? Well, we don't have Nanama because we want to look at the gaps that she raised the last time so we can speak to those gaps there. But let's see if we have some more messages here. Why can't Land Commission display land registration charges of various land acquisitions?
Well, we have regular plots and we have bigger plots.
Okay.
You understand? We are valuers as well. So if the land is bigger, we have to assess and ascertain the current value before registration can take place. But for the regular one, for instance, everybody knows that when you are conducting a search at Lands Commission and the property is less than an acre, you pay 56 Ghana cedis. 56 cedis?
Yes. Less than an acre?
Less than an acre.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's more than an acre, then a valuer of the Lands Commission have to assess the value for you to be able to pay. You understand? And also, when it comes to, say, stamp duty, the value will not be fixed because even if you have same property in cantonment, if you have 1 acre in cantonment, another 1 acre in cantonment, and there are different developments on it, and you want to assess the stamp duty, the values are going to differ depending on the nature of the development on the property.
Does it mean that there is never a standard payment for land registration?
There is. But where you are dealing with a bigger tract of land, then you are going to pay more.
Yeah, I think that's what people want to know. They want to know, for example, if I'm registering or if I want to register 2 plots, 2, 3, 5, 10 plots, is there a standard for me to know how much at least I will spend before I start the process?
Yeah, the figures are there. When you go to the client service access unit of the Lands Commission, they will give you the breakdown.
But that's going to, I mean, we're talking about digitization, making things easier for people and putting information on virtual platforms. Isn't there a way for people to know, even, you know, on the internet before they make a journey all the way to the client service or the Lands Commission?
We are putting measures in place to take care of that situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
This gentleman says, this is gentleman? Yes, he says, please do not call the line, just send a WhatsApp message. Says, in fact, the registration processes of land are too cumbersome. The cost involved is also too much. Something should be done urgently. Richard is sending that from Tamale. I'm not sure if you want to make a comment on that. Do you?
I do. Yeah. You know, many a times people try to rely on agents. I know they mention outrageous values to them, which they pay. People portray as if they are officers of the Lands Commission, and they are not. They end up paying so much. In the end, they won't even get their document registered. These are some of the challenges. I feel if you really want to register your property, come to the office of the Lands Commission. Come to the client access units. If you have any challenge, they should send you to the back office to see any of the officers. We are all there. Many a times they rely on these agents. They take their money, they don't get their document registered. Yeah.
Well, this one is asking, where can I get litigation-free land? Does the Land Commission provide any advisory on litigation-free land?
We do. Many a times in this country, people purchase the land before they even come to Lands Commission for a search.
Okay.
Which shouldn't be the case. You are better off conducting a search. And the best advice I can even give is that after conducting the search at Lands Commission, don't limit yourself to the records of Lands Commission. Go on ground and ascertain the neighbors around. Ask one or few questions over there and know if there's no litigation in the area before you would even part of money. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go on with some of the questions coming in. So this one says what you're asking for, whether you find litigation-free land. He says that before you make the purchase, you should go to the Lands Commission and then you can get advice. You get to the client's access units. They have a lot of information there that they can share with you. Please, I want to find out if the process for registration of stool lands. Okay, so do not call my line. You're interrupting with the messaging. Says, I want to find out if the process for registration of stool lands is the same across the country, and I want to find out if the process for registration land is on the website of the commission. Kobe Chef from Asamine.
Yeah, the registration of stool lands is the same across the whole country.
Can you speak up a little bit?
The registration for stool land is the same across the whole country because that one is constitutionally mandated. That is the concurrence. It cannot be done at anywhere apart from the PVLMD of the Lands Commission. Okay. Yeah. And you say in the processes for the registration, is it on, you have it on your website or anything? We have brochures within the Lands Commission. When you come there and you need a copy, we'll furnish it to you. Okay. Yeah. A company is refusing to provide me an indenture while they promise me that I can acquire it a month. It's a month of full payments. Now they appear to be demanding money for document fee, whilst there was nothing like that initially from One Stone Yasin in Wager. What can he do? You see, now he's dealing with a company, and the company is demanding money before they can even furnish him the document. Indenture, yes. The indenture. So now you don't even have the indenture. I'm sure he's done some payments. Yeah. How would you even know that you are dealing with genuine people or not? So all I can say to the public is that before you purchase the land, demand at least site plan from the seller. Come to Lands Commission, conduct a search before you start doing the payments. So now that he's paid his money, he's just really hanging. He just really has to hang on luck that they will give him the indenture, and that he will not lose all the money that he's given already. I should believe that once he's not getting the indenture, it means that there's no site plan for him. He doesn't know the records of the Lands Commission as we speak. Wow. So how would we know that he's going to buy something genuine or not? So at this point, what would you advise he does? If you wouldn't mind, you can go to the site, ask permission of the grantor, go to the site, pick the site and have a site plan, come to Lands Commission, conduct a search to ascertain the root of title. If he's dealing with the right people, then he's sure that he's dealing with the right people, and then he can do the payment for him to get the document. I think he's done the payment already, but he has to get the indenture. That's where he is at the moment. Now, once he's done the payment, then I think they should give him the indenture. I don't know why they're refusing to give him the indenture. If he doesn't get the indenture, I guess he can only go. He can go to the police or something. Or is report the matter. Interesting. Prince Nuruddin Baumia from Boko says, "Why can't you own your land without passing through legal means?"
Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah,
You
let
say
me do
so?
that. You see, without land, human being cannot survive. And we all live on land. And it's a very valuable asset in this country. So why won't you protect such valuable assets? It is very necessary.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's necessary for you to protect it. That's why you can't just have it and say you have it without going through the legal processes to make it yours. Okay. I have a farm land in Nkranza in the Bono East region, which I bought from a neighbor. Do I need to register it too?
Yes.
A farmland?
Yes, you're supposed to register farmland.
Okay. So the person who sent that question, you're supposed to register it with the commission. Please, land leasing. Why is it that every land in and around Old Ningo, Pram and its environs costs between 25,000 and 30,000 cedis? Please, land leasing and land purchasing, what's the difference? How do you accept a land on lease? What's the process for leasing land?
Actually, we have what you call lease. Now, we don't have outright sale. We don't have conveyance.
Okay.
We do lease for a number of years, after which it will come back to the allodial owners. But then you always have the first option to renew the property. But many times people will say that I'm going to purchase the land. You are not going to purchase it forever. It's for a period of time. It becomes a lease. There's a duration. You understand?
After which the land ceases to be yours.
Yeah, after which the land comes back to the allodial owner. But you, the purchaser, always have the first option to repurchase the property.
I see. Hi, I'm Kumsin Augustine from Dunkwa. I am Furi. I think we should develop the strategy of reducing the paperless system and apply the digital system. You mean to reduce the paper in the system, I guess, and to apply the digital system, which will reduce the rate of land litigation in Ghana. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. Actually, we've started something. Now we have what you call the barcoded site plan. Unlike in the olden days where we go by the compound surveying, now we have barcoded. With the barcoded site plan, we are trying to get our system computerized. And I strongly believe with that, if you go ahead, it would help the system. Yeah.
Bono, Dennis is sending this from Bono. He says the man is asking us to come to Lands Commission. He's referring to you.
All right.
The man is asking us to come to Land Commission, but he himself knows that the data at the commission is a lot of times compromised. Their records are not digitized and are only centralized in Accra and Kumasi, etc. So like only in, big towns.
No, we have Lands Commission in the various regions. For instance, if you are purchasing a property in Secondary, you don't need to come to Accra for any records. You have to go to Secondary Lands Commission. We have Lands Commission in all the regions. You understand? We've started the computerization process. We've started in Accra, Kumasi. We are extending it to all the regions. But we want to try piecemeal approach and see how best it is going to work, and then we'll extend it to everywhere. So we don't intend to concentrate the computerization process in Accra and Kumasi alone.
But he's saying that the information at the Lands Commission is compromised.
It's not compromised. It's not. Just that our records are manual. At times you would look for certain information you may not find. You have to exercise patience for us to get the information for you. You see, you want to acquire property. The land agency itself is not getting you the information. Why would you go ahead and then purchase the property? Many at times, the sellers put pressure on the buyers.
Wow, interesting. I don't know. There's just so many messages and so many questions, but even the first ones, even the initial ones, we still have issues with the sort of. Well, anyway, this one says, please, I want to know how many days will I spend on registration? Is there a standard? Can you share? There's a standard?
Yeah, it is. Ideally, 6 months, you should be able to get your land title.
6 months?
Yeah.
That's a long time, isn't it?
Because you are dealing with landed property. You see, we have to publish it in the newspapers and all that. We cannot just register land within a twinkle of an eye. Understand?
I understand.
Yeah, it has to be published in the newspapers. If you have any interest in the property, you come in to tell us that you have interest. If there's no interest, then we go ahead, because land title is the highest form of certificate in
So
this
6
country.
months?
Yeah.
Okay, if I could please have you speak up so our viewers can hear you. Hi, I bought a land and as of now, I have not registered at Land Commission, but I've completed the signing with the families. Where is he at? Is he at risk?
Well, he has to come to Lands Commission to perfect his title.
He has come to Lands Commission to perfect the title, even though he's finished signing all the papers, etc. So why does Land Commission register the same land more than once? once you have it in your system, once you have the information in your system, why do we get double registration?
We don't do double registration on Lands Commission.
But people have had documents and they've gone, and then someone else comes and says, I have documents to prove that this land is mine. We've heard that story over and over again.
Well, it means that when you were going to purchase a property, assuming there's plot A, I've purchased it already and registered at Lands Commission. You were also going to buy same property, you never conducted a search at Lands Commission. You come to Commission, we will tell you that the property is already registered. That is not the fault of Lands Commission, you the purchaser. It's the fault of the purchaser.
But if you come in and they say, and it says it's already been registered, then you will not register the next one.
Assuming I have purchased a plot of land A, and I've gone to Lands Commission to register it, and you also go and purchase the same land without conducting a search, you wouldn't know that they've already somebody has already registered the property.
So isn't it possible for Lands Commission to stop the registration of another land, the same land, even though someone has not come to check?
Won't register it. For instance, when you are doing a land title certificate and you get survey mapping division and the property is already encumbered by being registered by somebody, would give you what we call a multiple request letter. We won't go ahead and register the property. We don't do that. All we'll do is to give you multiple request letter, and then you take it to, we give you what we call multiple request letter for you to resolve the issue before we continue.
So what then happens with the stories that we hear about people saying, I've registered, I have the document, then someone else comes and said, I've registered, I have the documents? What usually happens in that space?
In that case, when you go into the matter, you will notice at times they are not talking about the same land.
I see.
When you superimpose one site plan on the other, you realize that one is talking about land elsewhere and another one somewhere. We are not talking about the same land. We don't do double registration at Lands Commission.
Interesting. My experience with the Lands Commission has been terrible. I made the legal payments for a search only to be told that their system was down, and so I had to pay some of their officials extra money to do the search. This has happened 3 times within a 6-month period. It appears nothing happens there without unofficial payments. This is coming from a man identifying himself as William.
Well, he decided to pay fees to.
He said he was told to pay.
He was told to pay. By who? You see, many a times people hang around. You might think they work within Lands Commission, but they don't. They take money, they take your money, they won't do the work, and you might think officer of the Lands Commission is taking your money without doing the work. If you feel you have challenge, come to the Client Service Access Unit or any of the officers at Lands Commission and complain than paying money to individuals.
Why is the land at the Anya Deeper Life Church to the Anya Market area keep changing ownership? Okay, so you're asking why the land keeps changing ownership. You said one time the people of Anya won a case in court. At another time, Bawi people won the case in court, and they worry landlords anytime there is a change in ownership. From Daniel Boche. Do you know anything about this story?
Well, not really, but then what I can say about changing this is purely civil matter. Okay, we Lands Commission, we register judgment and all that. Okay, assuming the property belongs to Anya, and Bawi and Anya people are litigating in court. After the judgment is out, we'll register it. You understand? So that one Lands Commission cannot do anything about it.
But it keeps changing. The ownership of the land keeps changing.
Yeah, it keeps changing. It means that people are litigating over the same parcel.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening. I want to know how much it will cost to lease a plot of land, and going forward, what are they doing to prevent landowners from selling one plot of land to many people at the same time? I think the answer has been to go to the Lands Commission, conduct a search if you're buying any property first. Why is the land? Okay, I think I've read this message already. Ben is sending this message. He says, my grandma bought a land from a certain family and didn't collect any papers. I later stepped in for the papers from the family, but they're saying I should go and do the papers and bring it to them to sign, but I don't know where to go. He doesn't know what the procedures are. Ben.
You see, if you purchase a property from A is supposed to give you documents to go and perfect your title at Lands Commission. So I don't see why the family is telling him rather to go and get the document for them to sign. So he should be very careful. All I can advise is that he should rather get a site plan of the property, come to Lands Commission and conduct a search to ascertain the root of title.
Okay, so you should get the documents. What's a site plan?
The site plan.
Get a site plan. Go to Mr. Ben. Get a site plan. Go to the Lands Commission, and then they will
ascertain the root of title, whether the property even belongs to them. Because ideally, if I dispose of a property to you, I'm supposed to give you documents. Yes.
Wow. Hello, regions which do not have land title registration. Does the deed registration have the same force as land title? Joseph from Ho. I don't know if I understand that. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay.
The land title registration is not applicable to all the regions in this country. So where we are not practicing the land title registration system, deed registry is as good as land title registration. And
do you have offices in all districts?
We have regional offices.
Regional offices, not districts.
We have regional offices, not districts.
Okay. I have not relied on an agent to register my land, but by the time I got one registered, it took 2 years, and I spent even more on the registration than I bought the land. What is his take on this? Richard T. from Tamale.
You see, if we say registration of title or land is for a period of 6 months, it doesn't mean that anybody in this country can register his property within a period of 6 months. Where there are issues, it will delay. For instance, we are doing registration for you, and portion of your site is affected by somebody's interest, and we write to you and you don't respond on time. Of course, you cannot use 6 months to register same property. Yeah.
So this one says, if I bought family land, I guess, and they don't have title at lands, they even built already, what will you do? I'm not quite sure I understand this.
Well, it's not all the families who are having title to their property.
Okay.
But Lands Commission, we know the various families and their interests. So assuming you purchase a property from one family and we know that the property belongs to them, if they have not given the property to anybody, we can still go ahead and get your title certificates.
Okay. Okay. Please, can I start building on the land while I have the indenture, whilst I wait for the registration of the land? Kwesi from Airport.
Ideally, you are supposed to obtain permit before you can commence development.
Okay.
Without registration, I don't know how you get the permits to commence development.
But you know, people build around here without permits.
Yeah, that is illegal. You're supposed to obtain permit before you can develop.
Okay. So, Kwesi from Airport, you got your answer there. You need
building permit.
A building permit before you can start your development. So, and the building permit can only come after
the registration of
registration. So you need to do finish the registration before you do that. So if two skins are fighting over lands released by government, and I happen to have purchased one of the lands before the fight broke out, what happens to me? Jay from Tamale.
You see, two skins are fighting over the same parcel of land.
Yeah.
You would only have to wait till the final determination of their confusion before you can purchase the property.
Wow.
Because you see, you are going to purchase a property, meanwhile the Alodia owners themselves are fighting. You are also going to add up to the litigation. Why would you do that? Wait till they finish the litigation before you purchase the property.
Then you are certain of your position. I want you to find out for me can two people own the same indenture with the same name? Fifi Nyani from Ashoman Estate.
I don't really get this question. Can two people do?
Two people have documents bearing indenture, bearing the same name.
Yeah, it can be possible. I'm George Kwesi Esau. Okay, another person is George Kwesi Esau. They've purchased same property. They've purchased property within the same area. But you see, we have grade values. Okay, the grade values on the site plan will depict one property from the other. You understand?
Okay.
So if you are bearing the same name, and we've all purchased property in the same area,
the property will be different. The description of the property will be different.
Yeah, of course.
Eben from Odumase Krobo. After you pay for the land and you've been given an indenture, what next?
Yeah, after you've paid for the land and you've been given indenture, all you have to do is to go to Lands Commission to commence your registration. But it will depend on the type of grants, especially when you come to Accra and you are dealing with the Stool land. As I said, you have to go to the PVLMD of Lands Commission to commence registration. Say if it's a family land, you have to continue with land title registration. You just go to land title and then commence development. Yeah.
I have indenture site plan and already built my house. Do I have to register again from Anissa?
Yeah, please, you have to register.
So okay. So Anissa, if you got the answer, you have to register. This is from Abalo from Aplau, Volta region. I would like to find out from your guest what happens to a plot of land with two separate indentures bearing different owners. I think he's just answered that. Is it? But I think he's saying that what happens to a plot of land with two separate indentures bearing different owners?
Are we talking about the same land?
The same land. says, what happens to a plot of land, so the same land, with two separate indentures?
So
bearing two different names. So it's different indentures for one land.
Different indentures for one land.
Yes.
It means that you see, equity follows the law. We'll take the first in time.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll
So
take the first
the one that according to depending on the date.
Depending on
the one that registered first
will
be the one that owns the land. But how is it possible that they got the indenture? Is it possible that the indentures are the same?
It means that the land sellers are not doing their work well. Yeah.
But for the land commission,
we haven't done anything.
It's leading to litigation.
But
the land commission will only take the one that has the first date.
You see, the one has a first date, but even assuming you purchased it before I did, okay, I'm the second person who purchased the property. Lands Commission, we wouldn't know that somebody had already purchased the property if the person has not perfected his title. So anybody who comes to Lands Commission first for registration will just continue with the registration.
Wow.
Yeah.
May I know the difference of between land registration for farming and land registration for building?
It's the same process you
go through. The same process. Yeah. Okay. No difference. What happens if you have an indenture done before the barcode system? Are there going to be any challenges?
Yeah, assuming you were given a property in the year 2000 and you are now coming to commence registration at Lands Commission, would in the course of the registration we'll ask you to go and then commence the barcode site plan because we want to get our system computerized. Yeah.
So if you didn't do it then, now
you
should still do it now. Okay. Francis, you're saying that I did not read your message. Okay, but you've not sent any message. Francis from Hohoe, he says you like watching the program, but we don't read your message. But you haven't sent any message on the land, so do send if you have. Can I start building after having acquired some document from the town planning at the district level, or you need to go through the land lease procedure?
I don't know how he managed to acquire title from the building authority he's talking about.
He says I started. Can I start building after acquiring some documents from the town planning at the district level?
But all I'm trying to say is that before you can acquire any document from the town planning authority, you need to record your interest with Lands Commission. You understand? Because before a permit will be granted, they will request a search report from Lands Commission, and the search report should indicate that you are the owner of the property before you be given a permit. Yeah.
Interesting. So you just asked a question again about what to do after indenture. We've answered that question already. Hi, I have a problem. Is that I have a land from the family, but I couldn't go do the land documents. I only have the receipt. Is there anything like receipt? Or receipt, maybe. I think you're trying to say receipt. Later, the head of the family who gave the land to me passed away, and the new Ebusiapenyi sold the land to someone with documents, and I'm asking, what should I do now? So he could not get any documents. All he has is a receipt. But a different head of the family, because the one who gave him the receipt is dead, a different head of the family came and sold the land to another person and gave the document to that person. What can he do?
All you can do is to go back to them and plead with them that you've already purchased a property from one of the chiefs and he's no more. This is my receipt. So they should be able to give you alternative sites. Okay. It means that the person never conducted a search before purchasing the property. Because he's not having a document.
The second person?
No,
the first
one.
So he paid, he got his receipt. But later on, someone else sold the land. So it means that he bought it first. So
he bought it first.
He did not even go for the document.
He did not. How would you pay for a land without going for the documents? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's one of the mistakes I think that lots of people do. They say once they pay and they get a receipt, they think that it's done. But you need to do the needful because this is landed property. Anyway, but we'll be wrapping up soon, but just a few questions. Please, I want to know if I can register my land, which is at Swedru in the central region at Accra, since I live in Accra.
No. You only have to do it within the regional office at Cape Coast.
Okay. So if the land is in central region, you cannot come and register it in Accra. Wherever it is, that's where you have to register.
Yes, please.
Okay. In Tamale, it costs so much to register your land, that is opening a file. Hence, people are discouraged from registration and they go ahead to build.
Well, this is a very dicey one.
Yeah, they're saying that it takes too long.
I know places like Tamale, they deal with very large tracts of land. And the bigger the land, the more you're going to pay. Yes. Unlike Accra, where you acquire 1 plot, 2 plots. But they deal with bigger tracts of land. So when you are dealing with the bigger tracts of land, then you'll be expected to pay more.
And you need patience. Yeah. Okay. And please, I would like to know, does the Land Commission in Ghana have any deal with the mining sector? As in, do you do the mining? So those who have concessions, etc. Do you deal with them?
Yeah. Please come again.
Okay, so he's asking if the Lands Commission has any deals with the mining sector. So do you do anything with the mining, those in the mining sector? Because they're also mining on the land.
Yeah, they are mining on the land. Understand?
Yeah.
But there's a saying that if you purchase a property, okay, and then there's a mineral, any mineral whatsoever in the land or on the land, the mineral belongs to the state. You understand? So there's a provision for that.
Okay.
That takes care of the mineral,
of the mining
not
sector.
Lands Commission.
That's not Lands Commission.
That's not
Okay.
Lands Commission.
Who has the right to apply for a search? I need clarification. Can anybody just walk, or only the owner or someone who is interested in the property? Anybody at all can just go and ask?
You can. Anybody at all can come to Lands Commission and conduct a search.
Okay.
Yeah.
My sister acquired the land at Kokrobite. It was initially in the name of IDA. The government later released the land to the Alodia owners. I cross-checked at the lands department. Two plots. I'm not sure. How much would it cost to register, and for how long will it take?
Yeah, I've already said that. Ideally, if there's no issues, not more than 6 months or say 6 months, you should be able to acquire title to your property. Yeah.
I'm a gospel artist from Boko. Okay, so a gospel artist from Boko. You want to say you're sending your music so people can. Okay, please ask the Lands Commission officer what is the difference between cadastral and land title. Why do they give multi-cadastral to more people? Pounds in Takwa.
Yeah, cadastral is a form of plan. You understand? Rather, there's a difference between cadastral and a parcel. Cadastral is a newly developing area where they have to go to the sites and pick the plots to be able to get the layout. But if you say parcel, parcel is where the place is already developed, and we can Google and find all the buildings and the layouts around. I think you wanted to know the difference between cadastral plan and a parcel plan.
That's interesting. I've never heard of that word. Anyway, I want to ask, why should I not sue the Lands Commission if I send my documents to them for registration and later they tell me my documents can't be found? I sent my document for registration in 2013 and I was told that my document is lost and I should go back to the landowner to give me a new indenture and bring it back to register. What should I do now? And he's asking if I can send him your contact number for him to contact you directly.
Ideally, we are not supposed to misplace anybody's document at the Lands Commission. Yeah, so.
But it's happened to him, so he's thinking of suing the Lands Commission. I mean, what does he do? He's been told to go for a different document from there.
Yeah, I've come across such an instance. In the case, Lands Commission would write to the Alodia owners that actually he presented his document at Lands Commission. He was trying to register the document. Due to one or the other reason, we cannot trace the document. So ideally, we are supposed to foot the cost for the Alodia owners to give us another document for registration. I don't know which of the Lands Commissions he's talking about, whether it's in the Greater Accra region or any other region. But
that option is there.
Yeah, that option is there.
That they
where Lands Commission is convinced that we actually misplaced the documents, then we are supposed to write to the Alodia owners and acknowledge the fact that he actually tendered in document for registration. Due to one or the other reason, we cannot trace the document. For that matter, we need a copy of the document for registration.
So whoever sent that question, what you need to do is to get back to the Lands Commission where you did a registration, convince them that you actually brought your documents and it got lost with them, and then they will have to foot the bill of getting you a new document.
Another issue is that have we written to the person officially that we have misplaced the document, and for that matter, we cannot continue with the registration. That's another issue.
Okay, so
or he gave the document to some agent and then the agent misplaced the document.
Okay, yeah. So these are things for you to determine. So we're wrapping up. Good evening. I bought a land in one rural area. They don't have a site plan and I was not also given documents. How do I register my land?
Yes, a site plan is something you can do it easily without even involving the seller. You understand? So if you want to purchase a property, there are instances where people even own land. It's for them, but they cannot find their own documents. They don't have it. If you are so interested in a property, all you have to do is to take a surveyor to the site to prepare a site plan for you. Go to the Lands Commission and conduct a search and ascertain the root of title.
Okay. How do I get my plot, which is located at the Kaswa Dawa Road, registered? How much will it cost for me to have a full ownership of the plot? I have not received the indenture after purchase. Can I still go ahead and register at the lands? I think we've answered this question as well, but just speak to it before.
You see, well, if you don't have the document, what are you going to register? It's the document you are supposed to take to Lands Commission for registration. So without the document, there's nothing like registration.
Well, we'll have to wrap up. We'll have to wrap up and do some other stories. But okay, I'm tempted to just take this one. I bought a land from the landowner. He has done the indenture for me, but there was no plot number, and they said they have not plotted the land. I'm not sure. Am I safe, Christopher? There's no plot number.
There's no plot number. Some of the properties are unnumbered.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not all property that is numbered.
Some are unnumbered.
Yes, some are unnumbered.
Okay.
But I don't think that's the question he actually wanted to ask.
Yeah. What do you think he's asking? Let's answer that.
I think he wanted to say that the document is not plotted at Lands Commission.
Okay.
Yeah, plotted at Lands Commission means that the document is not recorded in our records at Lands Commission.
Okay. And he's saying, is he safe?
No, that's safe. Especially when he's dealing with a private transaction, it means that the person might have registered the property at Lands Commission before he can purchase it.
So what does he do?
Yeah.
What should he do then?
I don't know whether we are talking about Accra Lands Commission or.
I think I'll have to go back to it, but I just Christopher, he doesn't say where he's
assuming we are dealing with Accra Lands Commission, he shouldn't limit himself to the PVLMD for such.
Okay.
He should go to the SMD, Survey and Mapping Division, for another search to be sure that there's no recorded transaction at records.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he says he knows those who lost his document, the guy who says his documents have been missing. So please go there, send a message, go there, indicate, put it in writing that you brought your document and it's been missing. Let there be that acknowledgement, and then they will have the responsibility of footing the bill for you to get that. All right. So let's call it a wrap here. Mr. Esau, thank you so much for coming. Any final words you want to leave with our viewers?
I have a simple word for the viewers. You see, human being cannot live without land. We all dwell on land and put land into various uses. It's one of the most valuable assets you can find in this world. So try and do due diligence before you can purchase landed property, being it a bare land or developed land. Don't let the sellers put pressure on you that come and pay. Without coming to conduct a search at Lands Commission to ascertain the root of title. Okay. To me, a successful land acquisition is you ascertaining at the records of Lands Commission whether the land belongs to A or B. Also, go on ground and ascertain around if there's any litigation or land guards being around, and try and find some history around on the ground. Don't limit yourself to the records of Lands Commission. Yes.
So I hope that this helps you. We still have a lot of messages, but we've run out of time. But hopefully some of the questions have already been answered. But this is not the first. Every week, we'll try and at least dedicate one day to this conversation where you can bring in your questions and get some answers from the Lands Commission. George Kwesi Esau, he's a land administration officer and valuer with the Lands Commission, who helped us with that. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you too.